And hello, everybody. Welcome back to the True Path Entrepreneur, your guide to living your purpose and growing a freedom-based business you love. And I'm your host, Beth Weinstein. I'm a transformational business coach helping current and aspiring entrepreneurs align with their true purpose and grow their business so you can help more people, profit with your passion, and have a thriving business you love working on your own terms from anywhere. And today I'm really happy to be talking to another local New Yorker, just like me, Dawn. Hey, Dawn, how are you?
Hello.
This is Dawn Copeland. Dawn is the founder of the Wealth Rising Movement. She specializes in supporting women business leaders who are masterful at their craft, yet have created internal blocks to slow down their success. Through in-depth soul work, as well as high-level strategy and practical business building training, her clients are able to unlock their wealth potential and reach new levels of income and impact. Now, Dawn, I really love this. I love that you're kind of like me. We're talking business and strategy and the tangible masculine energy. But I love how you mentioned internal blocks to slow down people's success. Now, I'm curious, how did you even get started doing this kind of work? Like, what's your background in business or in coaching? I'm always curious.
Yeah, so I actually came through this surprisingly through the route of theater. So I have a master's of fine arts in music, theater, and performance. And through that work, I spent 4 very intensive years in graduate school learning how emotion lives and moves through the body. And that work really became the foundation of the energetic process work that I do, as well as I've done a lot of work studying the shadow because I've had my own internal blocks that I've had to understand how to deal with. But boy, my clients have those same blocks. So that kind of interesting mix of theater and shadow, and here we are.
I love it. And I was just talking with you before we got started about the shadow work. And it's really, I love this approach you take because not a lot of people, have the balls to even discuss the shadow, especially when it comes to business, entrepreneurship, wealth. But I know from my own experience, I've probably like you have been very deep on this path for so long. But last year I went into another realm of shadow, almost for the whole year. But what happened is, I've seen the light on the other side and my business has taken off in a new way. The abundance has come, love, everything, like moving to a new place. Can you tell people a little bit more about like, what does the shadow mean? Like, what is it? And do we all really have it? And how does it stop us from, wealth, abundance, business, all of this?
So first thing to know for everyone is that the only people who do not have shadows are babies. Babies know when they are hungry, they cry. When they're sad, they cry. When they're sleepy, they sleep. They are able to express how they're feeling, and there's no like subconscious process going on. So it is a natural part of human development that as we grow up, we have these moments that are like flashpoints for us, where all of a sudden something that we were really proud of or really shining in could be like the art piece that we made, or being a leader in your class, and someone makes one comment and it brings up this sense of I don't belong, I don't feel like something is wrong. So we start to throw the things that are our most valuable gifts into the shadow and kind of hide them away. But it actually is a really smart thing because it's how we protect our gifts. So the process of unveiling the shadow and working with the shadow is really about reclaiming your most powerful, authentic gifts. And that is what every single entrepreneur that I know wants. They want to be the best of the best. They want to be their best selves. And this is the kind of work that will really help them get there.
Yeah. And I totally, I see what you mean. It's like looking back on running multiple businesses now, how things have come up, it's like, and no matter what, it seems like there's another level of shadow that comes up. I think I've worked through one, I worked through the initial fear of launching a business when I launched my other business, but then, then it gets to a certain growth point. It's like new fears of being seen, fears of, can I succeed, and comparison. Now, how do we, are there some like tools and tricks that you give people to start, at least being aware of them, especially when it comes to, wealth. A lot of, especially people in the spiritual path, have trouble asking for money, raising their rates. They always think like they don't deserve the money. Like,
yeah.
Any cure for this?
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's been a very intentional thing that I've chosen the word wealth and I've chosen the word rising, because wealth is about an embodied state of being. So it is about our soul wealth. It is about our financial wealth. It's about our health wealth. And it's the sense of being able to generate, hold, enjoy that which most fulfills us. And it takes that rising energy, which is like that activating force upon it, for something to break loose and shift. So often I think, the most powerful thing I think I can say to someone, if you want to go next level, is this: everything you've ever done has come from a place of love. So every time that you have fallen short, when you have stopped yourself, when you have hid, when you feel like you failed, you feel that shame, you don't make the money, you don't have the credentials, like anytime any of that comes up and it stops you, it's been a loving, radical act to protect yourself.
Wow.
And the key to that is our shame. Because it's our shame. There's nothing wrong with just the action of, you know what? Today I've decided this week I'm not doing a newsletter. But if we have then that shame that comes up that gets attached to that action of not doing it, it's the shame that then makes it, oh my God, that means I'm not going to be successful. And what's wrong with me? And everyone else is doing it. And the woo starts. So for me, like, this work is really about how do you just lift shame off of the actions that you take or don't take. And if you start to approach yourself with this sense of curiosity and this sense of compassion, that, okay, every action that I've taken or not taken has come from a place of trying to love myself, take care of myself, and protect myself. So if we can start there at that base level, now we don't want to stay there, but that's the radical foundational work of just approaching ourselves with compassion and then getting curious about, okay, if I take the shame off, then what's possible? And then from there, being able to, without the weight of the shame, to then go take an action and start to reformulate like your internal dynamics over writing a newsletter.
Oh my God. I'm laughing because I'm like, I relate to this so much. And I know every entrepreneur, I know all of us, it's like one little thing. And it's, I've gotten probably like you and like a lot of entrepreneurs, you get better at it over time because, I said this to another guest, is I started to realize when I got into that downward spiral, which happens so easily as an entrepreneur, because we're all very type A personalities, we want to succeed, we want to help more people, we want to get out there. And, it's like one thing goes wrong and we can totally beat ourselves up forever. But I started to realize, I was like, this is really wasting my time,
Exactly. And then that's where, so oftentimes women who are starting out and really working at building success really can struggle with those taking actions that build the business. Once you reach that like 6-figure, mid-6-figure, and wanting to go to 7 figures, that's when the shadow kind of shows up differently. Most of the time you're still in action, you appear successful, but either there's still an internal dialogue about how much pleasure you get from the work that you're doing, the pressure and stress that you put on yourself, and there can just be kind of like a chipping away at it. And then we create another ceiling that we just spend a lot of time. Great, I'm at mid 6 figures and I've been here for 4 years. What happens next to get through that? So at every level, just kind of what you were saying, next, the next evolution, here it comes, and what's needed to just go to the next place. And a lot of times it comes down to vulnerability. The higher up you go, the more vulnerable you become about allowing yourself to be seen, not by 50 people in your world, but by 10,000 in the world, and then, 1 million in the world. And it just starts to be so much about vulnerability.
Oh yeah. And I love all you said. It's so true. I'm sitting there going, oh my God, I've gone through every stage of it. Like, I always tell people when I launched one of my other businesses, when I first launched it, I literally didn't want anyone to know it was me that was doing it. Like, I didn't even want my name on it. I didn't want my name on the website. And, the friend of mine who was in marketing and marketing expert guru was like, what do you mean? That's the whole point. Like, they want to buy your products because of you. And it was just crazy, the journey. So I love that you're talking about this because, like you said, there's a lot of new entrepreneurs watching, a lot of, people who want to make the change maybe from corporate into entrepreneurship. And this is, these shadows are really what's getting in the way of a lot. So yeah. I'm curious, when you talk about wealth too, like, does this happen with money and abundance and wealth? And, because I've gone through this and I've talked to other people about, especially, I don't know if it's a female thing or just our society, but like this, again, kind of this, like, not allowing ourselves to accept it in, or feeling like shame or fearful of money and accepting it. Like, what do you say to people like that? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think of it in two terms. So I think the first term is, yes, I think women have a harder time with receiving in general. And building wealth is the act of being willing to receive. And then being willing to receive that is not tied to what we think our value is. So when we tie our value to our wealth, it gets a lot harder and it gets really screwed up. It does. So the trick is really about, great, how do I just open and say, I'm willing to receive money and clients and visibility and opportunities and money, and not have that have to be, oh, let me prove myself and then I'll receive money. Let me prove to you how great I am and then I'll take your money. When it really is this sense of your value is already known. And so your value doesn't equate how much money you allow yourself to make, but that's what so many women equate together. Yeah. And so it really is through this practice of just like opening. So we teach a lot about like energy activations. And so we have these like, there are 4 energy activations that go along with our sales process. But the core of it is just about the sense of just opening and saying yes. And that daily practice of how you stand, like feet on the ground, heart open, arms open, and just call in energetically what you want. So I think that's the first thing. But then where it really shows up is in women and their sales process.
Yeah, actually, I was going to ask you about the sales process next, because I love that you're intertwining energy work into sales. And yeah, tell us a little bit more about your process and how this works. And I love that I've been told by people to literally do this, these mantras and like calling it in, and I'm like, accept it in.
Yeah, so like our sales process, I think it is, because I approach all of our work as like holistic, like whole body, whole self work, and sales is one of our most crucial building blocks of our business. So we really spend time on, activating the types of energy that you want to experience in yourself. and then activating energy of calling in. We talk a lot about you want to stand firm in, like, I'm calling in my next 10 clients, but you also don't want to call the person that's standing in front of you, you will be my client, right? So it's this practice of, in the sales process, the person in front of me, are you my client? Are you not? Who knows? But I'm calling in those next 10. And then we really focus in, just kind of on a very holistic sales process that takes people through where the prospect really has an experience that is deeper and more profound than just, do you want to work together or not?
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is beautiful. And I love that. I mean, you're right, because, no one wants to feel this weird pressure. And you also, I always tell people, you want someone aligned for you too, because that's who's going to get the best results. This is really, it is a very energetic thing. I always tell people, it's like, there's a million great coaches out there that do very similar things. And you really have to go with like the vibe, the energy, what their values, what they stand for. It's more than just, like these tangible things. And it's the same way for, anybody, like healers, coaches, people, any kind of solopreneur, there's this interesting way of approaching sales from a energetically, I love that you say, like, a open heart, receiving space, and also giving. So, like, can you talk a little bit more about that last part about, doing sales from this way that's, it sounds like a little more heart focused, and then giving them a good experience versus just like selling them something?
Yeah. So I'll just talk about like how we particularly, so we have something that's called the Wealth Rising Blueprint call, which is really about, getting the whole perspective. And this is, of course, what we teach around, so the challenges that someone is facing, the vision that they're holding, and then underneath that, how are those things impacting their lives? So a lot of people will just do, what's not working and what do you want? Here's how I can help you. But I think you're really missing the point of sales if you don't take that and then apply it to, well, how is that impacting you? And how does that make you feel? Because the impact and the feeling and that's where like that shadow, that shame can start to show up, that if we can just get really clear on how you feel about something, then we can work with it. And so, it is just that sense of, I want people to leave any sales call that, they do with me or any one of, my clients who take this process and do it with their prospects. I want you to leave feeling like you got something of deep value, that regardless of if we decide to work together or not, you have some key points that you can now go address, either with another coach or, within our work. So yeah, it is definitely about providing an experience for a prospect.
That's beautiful. And I'm curious, like, do you feel like this kind of sales approach can go for anybody, like any kind of healer or therapist or coach, or, even I always wonder, like, even someone selling some certain kind of product or like artwork, or does this work in so many ways too?
Absolutely. So sometimes you have to gear it toward a specific industry. So in I have several kind of fitness type industry clients. And so they don't go as deep into the, like, how do you feel?
Yeah.
But it makes them stand out if you have a trainer that, you're thinking about working with, who takes into account, how do you feel about that your body is weak and you are exhausted trying to keep up with your kid? Like, how do you feel about that? Versus, just skipping over that. So I think for each industry, we take kind of our basic process and tweak it for what's appropriate. But yeah, I think this kind of work, I can't think of an industry that it couldn't go into.
Yeah. Is this what you mean by the sacred art of sales? Like I just love that title because it makes it sound, the words, I even have trouble saying the word sales sometimes because I'm like, oh, it just sounds so sleazy and everybody knows it as sales and used car dealers. But what is this the sacred approach? And you can, by the way, while we're at it, just tell people this is the free gift you're giving, and Jay's email, they can click the link and get this. But yeah, tell a little bit more. What is that, and what do you give with it?
Yeah, so in general, so we have like live events and other programs that are called the Sacred Art of Sales. And I have consciously stepped into the word sales about 5 years ago because I felt like as women, we needed to just reclaim that word. And if anything, set a new standard for what sales should be in our world. That is a give and take, right? It's a give and is not sleazy and gross. So the free gift that we have is it's one of the aspects of it, and it's how to create the call to action when you're either at an event or at a talk or on a one-to-one conversation with someone of how do you, with the language, like it's a swipe file basically, that has you go through 5 steps of how to talk about, the information that they're giving you, and then how to talk about your work and about the importance of, I want to say this, the importance of lengthening the experience that you're having on the call, like the wisdom that you gained, what to do with that now. So for anyone that signs up for it, it really is a 5-step process where it will help you literally, you'll walk away with an actual script for you to start to, make your own, play with it, and get your ability to talk about your work and why people should work with you.
This is awesome. And I really love that you address live events and talks and, more than just phone calls, because I've been to so many people's talks where I'm like, oh my God, there's no call to action.
It breaks my heart.
Actually, no, I was just going to say, I'm like, it kills me sometimes because I'm like, oh, wow, that was a really good talk. But there was one I went to, I actually had to raise my hand and say, where can we find you? And I was like, all I could think is like, oh, she needs sales training. She needs sales training. And I love that you're giving this as a 5-step process with a script that people can probably tweak to, match their heart. But there really is this art form. And I love that you call it sacred, because this is really what everybody's, what we're all standing for. And I love that perspective that we need to take this back and really own it, because it is like we all have to sell. I mean, in a way, everything is sales, everything that exists out there, or else we wouldn't be serving each other in any way. So I really love this. Dawn, tell people a little bit more about where they can find you online and anything going on, anything they need to know.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me at dawncopeland.com. And we have, I believe it is October 15th, we have a prosperity and 11-day prosperity challenge that is starting, that you can also find at 2018prosperity.com. And that 11 days will teach you that whole sales process of receiving and those energy activations. It's going to teach you those so that you can really get right with how to receive all things in your business.
I love it. I'm always up for a prosperity challenge.
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. We did it at the beginning of January, and it was mind-blowing, the things that people were calling in just in 11 days.
And the thing is, I'm such a firm believer. I have so many stories for years. I'm like, I could tell story after story of like just putting my mind into something. And, like I throw around the word manifesting, but I'm like, no, that whole thing about like checks in the mail, money you forgot about, people offering you things you never even thought of, like it comes up and it's like, oh, okay, I'll receive it. And
you're like, bring it in.
I know, right? So yes, this has been really awesome. And everybody be sure to grab her free gift, the Sacred Art of Sales, the 5 steps to confidently close more sales. And Dawn, this was really awesome talking to you. I'm so glad you joined in.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the work that you're doing, because it matters.
Thank you so much. And everybody, be sure to join us tomorrow. We'll have more interviews on the True Path Entrepreneur. I'll see you then.